guys, what is up? So in today's video I'm going to be talking about some of the books that have made me cry. I am such a huge baby when it comes to reading. I cry over anything. Even if something isn't sad, I will still cry, and even if I absolutely hate the book, but if something bad happens, I'll still cry. So even though I have cried over dozens of books, I'm just going to be talking about 5 of them, and these are just some of the most recent ones that I have read that made me cry, and also the ones that have made me cry the most. So the first one I don't actually own, and it is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. And I read this back in like the 3rd grade-ish, around that time. And let me just say, I have never cried, to this day, I have never cried as much over a book as like when I did when I was reading. Does that make sense? Basically, to this day, I have never cried as much when reading a book as when I did when I was reading that book. It's a children's story about this boy, and he decides to go out and buy these 2 dogs so he's able to train them. And by the end of this book, I was bawling my eyes out. I had puffy eyes. My mom came into my room and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what happened to you?" And oh my gosh, I couldn't even breathe. That is how much I was crying. And even though it's a children's book, even though it's aimed for younger audiences, I really feel as if it's like one of those stories that you could still enjoy even if you're an adult. And I'll definitely have to go and pick it up one of these days again to reread it, because oh my gosh, it was such a sad story. Next, I have Forbidden by Tabitha Suzuma, and this book, guys, it's about a very interesting and kind of taboo topic that's not really touched upon in any sort of media, and it's about these 2 siblings named Locke and Maya, and they develop a romantic incestual relationship. And this story, man, this book, I have a non-spoiler review up on my channel if you want to go and check it out, if you're interested to hear more about like the actual plot and stuff. But man, this story, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to explain it. The ending, just the way it ends, because you know, I feel like one of the main reasons that, you know, people actually read the story, besides, you know, the taboo topic it's about, it's the fact that how does one wrap up a story about, you know, this topic? Like, how do you wrap up a story about 2 siblings that fall in love? It's really difficult to, and just the way that it wraps up is very heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, and I don't know, it's such an amazing book. It's a lot more, it's about a lot more than just the incestual relationship between the 2 characters. It's also about family relationships as a whole, and it's just great, man. Then we have More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. This is a very hyped book on BookTube. You've probably heard about it. If you haven't, it's about a boy named Aaron. Yeah, it's about a boy named Aaron, and he's gay, but he kind of wants to reject his sexuality, I guess. So he's kind of considering this procedure that'll make him erase that part of his brain that, I guess, determines his sexuality. And once again, I cried. This one wasn't as much as the other 2 books, but I still, you know, shed a couple of tears at the end. It's an amazing, beautiful story that if you haven't picked it up, you definitely should. The next 2 books are actually series finales, and the first one is End of Days by Susan E., and this is the last book in the Pendant and the End of Days trilogy, and which is an amazing story. I marathoned the entire series earlier this year in January, and I don't normally marathon series. I hate binge reading series so much, but this series was just so amazing that once I finished the first book, I just had to pick up the other 2. Nothing sad happened really in this last book, nothing particularly cry-worthy, but it's just the fact that one of my favorite series came to an end. That's what really, you know, hit home, and that's what really made me cry. If you don't know what the series is about, it follows a girl named Penryn, and she lives in a post-apocalyptic world where angels have taken over, and one of these angels have actually kidnapped her wheelchair-bound sister, so she kind of has to go on this quest to find her sister, stop the apocalypse. Yeah. It sounds really like, the way that I'm explaining it and the way that these books are kind of, I guess, advertised, you know, you'd think it's just one of, you know, your normal girl saves world kind of stories, but it's just so much more than that. It touches on a lot of different, like, religious and biblical concepts that I thought was really interesting. And yeah, go ahead, pick the series up. Even though it sounds like your basic cookie cutter fantasy angel story, it's really not. It's a lot more than that. And the last book that I have to show you, once again, is probably the book that I have cried the second most right after Where the Red Fern Grows, and it is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare, the third and final book in the Infernal Devices. And this book gave me all the feels, and by the end of it I was just bawling my eyes out. To this day, I can't read the epilogue without wanting to cry. I have never actually read the epilogue without at least one tear escaping, and if you didn't cry when you read this book, like, are you even a human? Do you even have a heart? I shed happy tears, sad tears, why isn't Will Herondale real tears. Just overall, I was an emotional wreck when I finished reading this book. There's something about books that, like, the epilogues of books that kind of show you what happens to all the characters after the events that took place in the book, that really hits you right in the heart. And especially this epilogue. I mean, if you haven't read the series, go read it. If you read The Mortal Instruments and just thought, wow, this book series is terrible, why are people liking it, pick up The Infernal Devices. I don't like The Mortal Instruments that much compared to this book. I think The Mortal Instruments is trash compared to The Infernal Devices. Don't fight me on this, but just please read it. As you can see, this is my favorite series ever, and just this book. Okay, so that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, I'm trying not to cry thinking about the ending of some of these books. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, comment, I mean, do all that you gotta do. Yeah, okay, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!